Hello, everybody. Welcome to our cup of coffee with Kristin. So excited to be jumping on here with you today. Don't forget, every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we jump on right here for our cup of coffee with Kristin. Last week, we talked about our spring checklist. So what you can do to make sure your Jeep is ready for spring weather and Jeep season. Today, we are going to continue on that, but we're going to be talking about things for you to know to be ready for the spring and the Jeep season. It's right here. It's spring, officially spring. The weather's going to be shifting. We're going to be moving into Jeep season. So excited. If you missed last week's Cup of Coffee with Kristin, when we talked about our spring checklist, you can jump over, check it out. It is right here. Available. A couple things to think about as we're moving into our Jeep season and our spring season. We are getting ready to probably repack our Jeep. We're going to clean it really good. It'll be all ready for spring. So a couple things I want you to think about when you are thinking about what you need to be looking for you for the Jeep season. First of all, I know you may have just bought suntan lotion at the end of last summer. Totally get it. But I will tell you, it's time to go ahead and stock back up on the things that you need in your Jeep for you for this Jeep season. That means I know sometimes it's no fun to go through and throw away things, especially if they're full. Maybe they're brand new and they haven't been used. But when we're talking about suntan lotion, sunscreen, how important it is, especially if we put our top back or we're going to be outside enjoying Jeep season, out of our Jeep doing things, it is so important to make sure we have brand new sunscreen. And I know sometimes, again, it's like, man, I just got this. I haven't even used it yet. But the worst thing, and I'm talking from experience here, that can happen is you put your top back, you think you put a bunch of sunscreen on, and by the end of your drive, you are burnt. And you're like, how did I burn? I just had so much sunscreen on. But if it is old sunscreen, it is not going to work the same. So when we're talking about being ready for the Jeep season, for this spring, I recommend go through your Jeep, take everything out. So that is everything you have in there. Anything that is old, and even again, if it's brand new, you haven't used it, you're like, oh, but it's been in there for a year, throw it away, go buy some new sunscreen. Same thing for bug spray. Depending on where you are in the country, I know here in Georgia, the bugs are out in full force already. The mosquitoes, the gnats, it's terrible. So I do recommend get some extra bottles of bug spray, put them in different compartments in your Jeep. And again, go ahead and buy some new bottles for this season and throw out anything that you have in your Jeep. I know sometimes it might sound like, oh, we're being wasteful, we're throwing things away. But there are certain things that we want to make sure we get brand new that are going to be in date and are going to work when we need them. Sunscreen, very important. Bug spray, very important. Those are two things that I believe you do not just continue to carry forward with you every season or into the next season. To me, those are two things that you absolutely want to have in your Jeep for you, especially for spring and the spring Jeep season, but you also want to make sure you get them brand new. So what I like to do is take everything out of my Jeep, and then I kind of have my essentials that I like to go to the store and buy, like the travel size bottles of bug spray, travel size bottles of sunscreen. The reason I do that is I then stash them everywhere in my Jeep. So I will put a bottle of bug spray and a small bottle of the sunscreen in my glove box, in my center console, in the backs of my seats, and in that very back fold up in my Jeep. That way there are 4 different locations that I know I'm starting the Jeep season, so this spring, out with brand new bottles of sunscreen and bug spray. For me, there's nothing worse than when I want to grab a bottle of bug spray and I don't have one. So that is kind of my recommendation for you as you are getting ready for this Jeep season, moving into spring. We already went through our spring checklist. So your Jeep is all ready. Now it's getting everything ready in your Jeep for you. So again, the small travel bottles are great so that you can buy multiple bottles, put them in multiple different locations in case somebody, borrows yours. We're outside a lot, and sometimes, unfortunately, if we're outside working in the yard, outside working on a Jeep or doing something, never fails. The go-to is always my Jeep, and someone will pull out a bottle of sunscreen or a bottle of bug spray and use it, and it doesn't get put back. That's why I buy 4 to 6 travel size bottles and put them in different locations so that way, even if someone does borrow it, doesn't make it back, I know I have other locations that have that. I do the same thing with tire gauges. I have a tire gauge up in my little trough. I have a tire gauge, a different tire gauge in my glove box, different tire gauge in my center console, different tire gauge in my pockets behind my seats, and then one in the very back. By the end of the Jeep season for the year, I'm usually down to 1 tire gauge. But by putting them in multiple locations, I kind of have a go-to like, oh, there's no bug spray in the back of this seat. Or, man, where did my air gauge go? It's not up here anymore. So then I have like my next place I know I can go to, my next place, my next place. So that kind of buys me a year of organization and being prepared so that I have the same things in multiple places. The travel size, when we're thinking about things to have in our Jeep, are great. Depending on where you go, you can even get like travel size little baby wipes. You can get travel size Clorox wipes, so that you can kind of get everything in your Jeep, but you're not getting the huge bundles that are going to take up so much room. So it's a little bit easier to organize and for it to fit in different locations. I'll even get like the travel size bottles of Advil and Excedrin, stick those in there. So that way, that's kind of my backup where I go to if I know I need anything. We already got your Jeep ready. We did that our last cup of coffee with Kristin. So now it's making sure you are ready and prepared for this Jeep season. Well, I know that was a quick cup of coffee with Kristin today. I try to keep these short and sweet, bring forward information to help you on your Jeep journey. Thank you for jumping on, ladies. I look forward to next week. So remember, every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we jump on right here for a cup of coffee with Kristin. We talk one specific subject to help you on your Jeep journey.